Please subscribe and you can download this code from description below. Sure, I'd be happy to help you with that. To retrieve the AWS region name for an RDS instance using Python and Boto3, you can follow these steps. Install Boto3. Make sure you have Boto3 installed. You can install it using the following command. AWS Credentials. Ensure that you have your AWS credentials set up. You can either set up environment variables or use a configuration file, /.aws/credentials. Here's a simple Python script using Boto3 to retrieve the AWS region name for an RDS instance. Import Boto3. Import the Boto3 library, which is the official Amazon Web Services, AWS, SDK for Python. Create an RDS client. Create an RDS client using Boto3.client, RDS. Describe the RDS instance. Use the describe_db_instances method to get information about the specified RDS instance. This includes details like the endpoint address. Extract region from endpoint address. Extract the region from the endpoint address by splitting the address string. Print the result. Print the AWS region for the specified RDS instance. Replace your _instance identifier with the actual identifier of your RDS instance. Run the script, and it will print the AWS region name for the specified RDS instance. Remember to handle errors appropriately in a production environment. This example is kept simple for demonstration purposes. ChatGPT. Certainly. Here's a tutorial on how to retrieve the AWS region name for an RDS instance using Python and Boto3. Title: Fetching AWS region name for RDS instance using Boto3 in Python. Introduction. AWS provides a variety of services across different regions globally. In this tutorial, we'll explore how to retrieve the AWS region name for a specific Amazon RDS instance using Python and the Boto3 library. Prerequisites. Step 1. Install Boto3. If you haven't installed Boto3, run the following command in your terminal. Step 2. Set up AWS credentials. Ensure that you have AWS credentials configured on your machine. You can set them up using the AWS CLI or by exporting environment variables. Step 3. Python code. Create a Python script, example get_rds_region.py, and use the following code. Replace your _RDS_instance identifier with the identifier of your RDS instance. Explanation. Conclusion. This tutorial provides a simple and effective way to retrieve the AWS region for an RDS instance using Python and Boto3. You can incorporate this code into your applications to dynamically determine the region of your RDS instances. ChatGPT. Certainly. To get the AWS region name for an RDS instance in Python using the Boto3 library, you can follow these steps. Before starting, ensure you have the Boto3 library installed. You can install it using. Now, let's create a Python script with the following steps. Here's the code example. Please note that the describe_db_instances method returns information about all your RDS instances. The code assumes you have at least one RDS instance. If you have multiple instances and want to extract region names for each, you can modify the code accordingly. Remember to replace RDS with the appropriate service name if your RDS instance is not in the default region. Also, make sure your AWS credentials are properly configured. ChatGPT. Certainly. To get the AWS region name for an RDS instance using Python and Boto3, you can follow these steps. Make sure you have Boto3 installed. If not, you can install it using. Ensure that you have AWS Credentials set up on your machine. You can either configure it using the AWS CLI or set environment variables. Now, let's write a Python script to get the AWS region name for an RDS instance using Boto3. Replace your _instance identifier with the actual identifier of your RDS instance. Import the necessary modules, including Boto3 for AWS SDK and no credentials error for handling authentication errors. Define a function get_RDS_region that takes an RDS instance identifier as input and returns the AWS region name. Inside the function, call the get_RDS_region function with your RDS instance identifier. Display the result. ChatGPT.